Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. Mahler's Fifth, period instruments. If this is not the stupidest, most ridiculous waste of time of any musical project in the history of humanity, I don't know what is. I mean, this is just a joke. We've heard these people. It's the Mahler Academy Orchestra under Philipp von Steinaecker doing the ninth. They did Mahler's ninth. It was an atrocity. Absolutely an atrocity. Well, so is this. Is it as bad as Andres Nelson's recent Mahler 5 with the Vienna Philharmonic on normal instruments? No, actually, it's not that bad. So, well, there you go. But it's really very awful. It's a collection of nervous tics, twitches, formulae, and completely lacking in flexibility, spontaneity, excitement. That's how I feel about it. It's absolutely appalling that people are doing this to poor old Gus. I mean, really. So what's wrong with it? Well, first of all, the entire approach is totally and demonstrably fallacious. You know, they start with all this bullshit. Well, Mahler replaced all the instruments in the Vienna Philharmonic, and so they scoured people's basements and garages and dumpsters to find these instruments and reconstitute them and reuse them. So the sound of the instruments is going to be different. Is it different than the individual characteristics of, let's say, great oboists throughout the world playing in the world's greatest orchestras? No! I mean, it's absurd. The idea that the actual instrument's going to make a bigger difference than the artist who's playing that instrument, who knows how to master the instrument, it's obnoxious that they would even suggest such a thing. Then, of course, the advisor to the project is Clive Brown. Clive Brown is like the worst musicologist in the world. He's the guy who's been behind the no one ever played with vibrato business, which we know is totally wrong. Now, they play with vibrato. Now they're down to the, well, we use less. But we know from the people who played under Mahler that whenever you had a lyrical tune, you had to use a lot of vibrato. That's what Mahler wanted. And if the general tone of the orchestra was a little bit different, it was left up to the individual players. It wasn't something you could impose on a string section by fiat from above. That creates the problem with this performance, which is that anal retentive, constipated, constricted string sound. It's wrong for the work. The amount of vibrato that you're going to use in any passage depends on tempo and the expressive nature of the music, and then you decide. But it has to be available. You can't just say, well, it has to be less than we would do it today, when the music is asking for more than they would do it then. So that's all craziness. It's craziness to impose those kinds of strictures on the orchestral sound in plain contradiction to what the composer is asking for in the score. But let's get to some details. All right, the opening movement, the funeral march. First of all, the type of rubato. Conductors conducted with more rubato back then. Lots more rubato. Well, tell that to Richard Strauss. Tell that to Toscanini. Tell that to Felix Weingartner. I mean, some conductors did, and some conductors didn't. It's not a rule. So Steinaecker is into the lots of vibrato school. I mean, lots of rubato, Otto. He's into Ottos. And the opening of the funeral march, oh my God, it's every single bar has to be faster or slower than the bar before. And the result is completely lacking in flow. You can never lose the long lyrical line. The purpose of rubato is not to chop the music up into little disconnected bits. It's to add inflection to the melodic line within the overall tempo. This is not within the tempo. This is just ridiculous. There's another moment that we'll get to in a minute, but yeah, it's very uncomfortable and unpleasant sounding. Second of all, they do tons of portamento. Now, yes, evidently people played with more portamento back then, and that's fine. I don't have any problem with it, but it has to sound natural. It has to be expressive. It can't sound like any gap between two notes has to be filled with a glissando. I mean, this is da 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 wah, da da da. Oh, it's ridiculous. I mean, the adagietto. Oh my God! Do do do. Wah, 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 da, da. It's not supposed to sound mawkish or foolish or parodistic. You can play with all the vibrato or portamento in the world you want, but there has to be a certain amount of subtlety. It's not supposed to always draw attention to itself, as these people do. It's uncomfortable and unnatural. The whole performance is a collection of like I said, nervous tics and strange protrusions, but it's also extremely inhibited. That's the strange thing about it. For all of the flexibility and freedom and slushing around between positions, it sounds studied. It never sounds natural. It never sounds free. The second movement, well, the recording is seriously lacking in bass. Bass drum, cellos and basses, all the lower instruments. And so the opening is very ineffective. The tempos are good, to the extent that Steinaecker sticks with any one for any length of time. Of course, at the big climax, there's no tam-tam. I mean, you would think on period instruments they would at least let you hear some things that you don't hear otherwise. The scherzo. Oh my God, the scherzo. Okay, so first of all, you've got the rubato thing going all over the place. It's just seasickness inducing. You want to take a Dramamine before you listen to it. The solo horn player sounds like he's playing a kazoo. Everything is staccato. I mean, it really sounds like a kazoo. That's all I can tell you. Really painful. The adagietto goes at a flowing tempo, 9 minutes, but like I said, all that slipping and sliding and slurping and schlupping and what, I mean, the vibrato business, there, of all places, you need to let the strings sing. They have to sing. Mahler does call for vibrato in one note in the adagietto. He writes the word vibrato. And some people who are disciples of Clive Brown, such as Roger Norrington, have claimed that that's the only note on which you should probably make vibrato. Well, it's insane. They don't do it that way. They don't. They are maybe a little bit more abstemious in their use of vibrato than others, but it's there. It's just not enough. It's not expressive. Then we get to the finale. Well, the opening of the finale is another phenomenon. The massed winds. Now, supposedly, these are woodwinds that were, like I said, recovered from the dumpster or wherever they found them and reconstituted. They sound so lifeless. I mean, the tempo is okay, but the expression isn't there. There's nothing happening. And then when you get to the big chorale at the end, Steinaecker does like he just slams on the brakes and then accelerates all the way to the last bar. This isn't what Mahler asked for at all. And it sounds horrendous. I've never heard the end played more disconnectedly, and it's just a mess. I mean, the whole last 2 minutes of the piece is a complete disaster. It's a total mess. And so, well, do I have this? Oh, here it is. It survived somehow. There it is. Horrid. Absolutely horrid and ridiculous. A disgrace, a joke, a farce, a flatulent mess of ridiculous absurdities, and disgrace. And yeah, I mean, you get the idea. And don't give me a comment like, gee, Dave, tell us what you really think. I'm telling you what I really think. All right? It sucks. Totally, completely, and utterly. Next. And keep on listening, friends. Thank you for joining me. Subscribe to my channel. There. I had to put in the obligatory ending. But, oh gosh, I'm off to take a shower after this. You need to bathe or do something. Ugh.